Welcome back, everyone. Since we're in the deep part of winter, we thought we would do a solar power update. We finally have had some variation in the weather, and there's actually something to talk about. So we're gonna let you know the system we had before, the solar system we upgraded to this past summer. We'll tell you about the different appliances we're able to run from this new power system, and yeah, we'll just kind of break it down a little bit and go over how it's been so far this winter having our solar upgrades. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe and hit the thumbs up if you enjoy this video. Onyx. So we've got our house there, and then if you go this way, that is the power shed that we built this past summer. 2024, I guess it was. And we've moved all of our solar equipment into this power shed. So we're gonna go in here and check it out. It's pretty full of stuff right now because it's been our heated storage, which is why I bugged Greg to build it a little bit bigger than he wanted to originally. So we've got our paints and stuff in here, which is really nice. Got 1.6 and 2.7 kilowatts coming in. So 2.8, what is that? 4,600-ish. 4,600 watts coming in. It is February 3rd or 4th, I'm not sure. Pretty good. All right, we're in the power shed. I thought we would start out by just going over what our power system was before, because I think that that is a reasonable and affordable system that if anyone is going off grid, it would be totally fine. We had it for years. We really only upgraded because we get sponsored here on YouTube, and our power needs did grow as well. And they
continue to grow because we want things like air conditioner, dishwasher.
The two main things.
I mean, I guess the mini split is the air conditioner, but it's also nice to turn on the heat, upstairs if we have them in home and the wood stove's gotten a little bit cold in the day.
Yeah. So the power system we had, it was totally reasonable. I think if anyone needed something to start out with, if you aimed for that, you'd be good for a long time.
Yeah. We've said it in the past, we'll say it again. If you're looking into doing this, save yourself the hassle, go straight to 48 volt. 48 volt DC system is the way to go. So
you're not going to save any money by starting at 24 or whatever, because you're just going to want to upgrade.
You're going to want to upgrade. Soon. Exactly. So like Katie said, though, it's totally fine. You can run pretty much anything on a 24 volt system. You just can't run everything at the same time because there's a limitation of how much power you can invert into AC power.
Mm-hmm. And so the appliances we were running on our smaller system would have been a fridge. I think we might have had a freezer at some point near the end.
Fridge and freezer.
Fridge, freezer,
computers,
water pump, and a washing machine.
Yeah.
And then, little things, whatever.
Yeah.
We had the Sungold Power 6,500 watt all-in-one unit. Mm-hmm. And that was at 48 volts. And then we had our 15 kilowatt hour battery, and our solar panels were
2,100 watts at the time.
Yeah, 2,100 watts.
Yeah. Old 250 watt panels.
Yeah, we bought them
used
from someone who recycled them from the California solar farms or something.
Yeah.
And that was great at the time, but I think now solar panels are so cheap that you'd be crazy to be buying these used smaller ones because
the deals are out there.
Yeah.
There are a couple places in the United States that sells used solar panels even, like Santan Solar. You can get panels for $90 for a 300 watt panel, which is crazy. Still works fine. I mean, you're not going to get the longevity out of it as you would have knew, but the deals are out there now.
That's the opposite of what I just said.
Sorry, okay.
Snaggles.
Boop. I'm out of here. Juniper, don't you can do it.
Hey!
Get out of that poop! So recently we did an upgrade. We added 30 kilowatt hours of battery storage in our battery bank with 6 server rack batteries. And that's been a big game changer because when we don't get sunlight, we still have power saved up so we don't have to run the generator as much. So now with our new solar install and our new batteries, we have 7,100 watts of solar panels. We have 55 kilowatt hours of battery storage. We have a 10,000 watt inverter split phase. And that's it.
So what we wanted to talk about in this video especially is how our winter has been since we've upgraded everything, and the improvements have made such a huge difference. It's kind of crazy. Before we had these upgrades, we were running the generator from October to like February,
Sometimes
March.
even into March, yeah.
And so far this year, it was November, December, and half of January. We were pretty much on generator only. I feel like most people off-grid in BC were doing that because it was so gray here. But we've also got a mountain that the sun just barely peeks over. And ever since kind of the middle of January, it's been just high enough that we are getting enough sun to...
Little more. And it makes a big difference too.
Yeah. So we've had to run the generator, I think, 2 times since the middle of January.
Yeah.
So that's been saving us a ton of money because we would spend so much money on fuel.
Between $200 and $250 a month, which doesn't sound like much because we only use it a couple times. I mean, for a few months, but when you add it up, I mean, it's money that we don't want to spend because we're trying to literally be off grid. We don't want to spend any money on fuel.
Yeah, and when you add that money together over 3 years, you've paid for the solar system upgrades. So it's like, it's better to just put that money towards the solar and then you're good. And the nice thing about these server racks now is you can add them together and build it up as you have funds available.
Yeah.
So
that's the lithium ion technology that you can add to. If it was a lead acid, you can't do that. So big benefit. It is a little bit different. I had to set up on the inverter a little bit different because we have different battery sizes. So we have all of our batteries go into common bus bars, and I have 15 kilowatts here. I've got 15 kilowatts here, and then I've got 20 kilowatts of the Sungold batteries there. So they're different size battery banks. So I had to change some parameters on here to allow a very low, so that this didn't cut off at a low voltage, because it's not actually reading. It's not necessary to have this cut off for low voltage because the BMS of every battery that I have behind me will do that on its own. So it was a little bit of a learning experience figuring out exactly how to do that, but it works great. We get to use 100% of our capacity because we're using lithium iron phosphate. So before I had the parameters set up on here properly, what we had happening is the 2 battery banks that are 15 kilowatt hours each, when they depleted, this would turn off. And
so we had the 20 kilowatt batteries were still full.
Well, they weren't full, but they still had quite a bit of capacity because it was a larger battery bank. So we weren't using the full extent of what our batteries can actually handle. So I figured it out on here how to fix that. I just changed the low voltage disconnect, and I turned it all the way down so that the batteries just take care of themselves, and this inverter isn't turning off when the batteries get too low, because the BMS, the battery management systems on the battery banks, take care of that anyway.
Yeah, and one of the challenges we've found with having all of these batteries kind of stuck together, different brands and stuff, is there's not really an easy way to get a reading on everything. Like, we can look at our Sungold batteries and they have a screen that says 94%. This BMS one, we have an app called Zhaozang that updates sometimes, and that's what we check on the DIY battery, and then the Ruxu just has little lights on it. So you kind of just have to check everything, whereas if you just had the brand of batteries with the inverter, or an inverter that could read whatever battery brand, but it was all the same, we'd be able to check this. One other thing we wanted to talk about that has changed our lives in terms of our solar system is the EG4 chargeverter. So we added this when we had the smaller inverter and we didn't have very good, or we had, okay charging capabilities, but with this we can just dump 5,000 watts straight into the batteries, and it cut our charging time in half. I think this has a 5,000 watt.
It does.
So this has the same charging capacity, but we already had this, so we added this into it. I think if you had a big enough generator, you could use both and you'd be dumping in so much power to your batteries. But we don't have that kind of generator right now, so we've been using this. The other thing that I like about this is when we were charging off the generator, it was just sending the power from the generator into the house, and we've ruined electronics like our espresso machine and stuff by doing that. So when we added this, it was putting the power into the batteries from the generator, and then the power from the batteries would go through the inverter, which would protect our electronics in the house. So this is $300 or $400, I think, and it was well worth the money to add it to our system.
So we received a sponsorship from a company called Referral to have a heater, to do a review on a heater. And
a few months ago.
This
isn't sponsored right now.
No, it's not sponsored right now. But I was a little bit nervous to put an electric heater in here because it uses power. But now that we've used this electric heater and saw how little that it actually pulls, this has been amazing for us. This is the exact perfect thing that we need for a power system in here, because it's free. First of all, when the sun shines, we don't have to pay for it. We don't have to fill it up. We don't have to worry about cleaning it or doing any maintenance on it. I have a Bluetooth app on my phone that can control everything on this, and it has graphing that shows what the temperature has been in here for the last 30 days. So we can stay on top of keeping our batteries safe, because lithium ion batteries can't charge below 0 or freezing for Americans. So this has been a game changer, because this is the perfect heater to have in this little shack here.
I thought I would just quickly show you the appliances that we have and use that require
Power.
I don't know. So we've got this fridge here. This is the LG column fridge. It's 24-inch depth, so it's counter depth, and it has no freezer. I think it's about 13 or so cubic feet in there. This was the most efficient fridge we could find, and a good size for just the two of us. And we have just a regular Samsung stove. So this oven uses power when it's on. It is gas, or we've switched it to propane, but it uses probably 800 watts when the oven is running. So it does use a fair bit of power. And I think with our smaller system, we would have struggled a little bit to cook a roast or whatever. We can use the wood stove for that though, so there is workarounds, but the burners don't use any power, so this works fine. I didn't want to go with the off-grid propane stoves that use a battery or whatever for their igniter, just because we didn't really like them. I didn't want to pay extra. Aspen just farted. I didn't want to pay extra for this kind of niche stove when these are just as good. And then we have our espresso machine as well, which probably uses 1,000 watts when it runs. It doesn't run for very long, so that's another kind of big power draw. And then we added a dishwasher in. We weren't going to, but the kitchen lady talked us into it, and I'm really glad that she did, because it's been so nice having a dishwasher, and we don't have to fight over who does the dishes. We just have to fight over how it's loaded.
That's
right?
That's 1,200 watts for an hour.
Yeah. And so we turn off the heated drying function and stuff like that. So it's just on a very quick wash and does a trick for us. And then in the bathroom here, we've got our on-demand hot water. So that uses like 700 watts.
I don't think even that much, to be honest.
Okay. So that's on propane, doesn't use very much power, and it only runs when we run hot water. We did place it near all of our water. We have everything in this corner of the house that needs hot water, so that we're not sending hot water too far of a distance. And then we've got our laundry. So we've got our washer, and then we have a gas dryer, which we've never actually used. I don't even think I would buy another dryer in the future, just because we have the wood stove and the lines outside to dry on. So yeah, we just have a regular washer, bought whatever was on sale at the time, and I think it might use 700 watts when it washes. So it's not too bad. So up until recently, we were just using one chest freezer, but we had too much meat this fall, so we had to buy another freezer. So we're running 2 of these, and they're both fairly new, so they don't use very much power. And I think this works fine with not having the freezer in the fridge. We have all of this freezer. And then a recent upgrade is our Mr. Cool heat pump. So we've got heat or air conditioning from that, and I think it's the 24,000 BTU unit. So this has been really nice. I've actually been running the heat since we've had the sun in this later part of the winter. I've been able to run the heat in here just to take the chill off. It's usually a couple degrees cooler upstairs than downstairs where the wood stove is. So I'll put that on for 20 minutes or something. And I think it probably draws around 2,000 watts, but that's been really nice having it. If our batteries are full in the afternoon and the evening, I'll just use that to kind of warm up the space, because my desk is over by the window, so it gets a little bit cooler over there as well. And we haven't used it in the summer yet for the AC, really. We kind of got it in the fall. So I'm looking forward to having that. If our batteries are filling up early in the day, we'll be able to just throw that on in the afternoon and just run off of the solar completely. So then we've also got our water pump, which is under the house, so I can't show you that. It's just a Mastercraft Canadian Tire shallow well pump, and it probably draws around 700 watts when it runs. So, it does 900 watts. And then we've got lights and a couple fans that we run to get the heat circulating and stuff like that, just in the ceiling. The kitchen fan. So we do pretty good with power, especially now that the sun has been out since the middle of January. It's been fine. And in fact, we've actually been filling up our water with a solar panel as well, which was the first time in the winter that we've done that. We've had to haul the water in ourselves for the past few years, and we finally got our water line buried. So it was just over that gray kind of 2.5 months in the first part of the winter that we had to take a battery over to fill our water and fill the cistern. I think we did that twice. But now it's just keeping itself topped up with a little bit of sun and peeking through the clouds that we're getting these days. So that's really nice too. We're just starting out what we would recommend for a solar system that I think will last quite a while. If you have basic appliances like a fridge, washer, that sort of thing, maybe not the dishwasher unless you want to run your generator all the time, but that would be the 2,100 watts of solar, 6,500 watt or, around there inverter charger.
48 volt.
And
15 kilowatt hours of battery is a pretty good start. We only paid to build our own battery. We paid, I think it was $2,100. We bought all the cells from China and put it together, and it's still working great today, and it should last us many, 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 many years. So economical way to go.
Yeah. So that's kind of the solar system we had for many years, what we started out with. Well, we started out with other stuff, but that was when everything was good. And now that we've upgraded, we have 55 kilowatt hours, 7,000 or so watts of solar, and 10,000 split phase all-in-one inverter charger. And that's been like primo. We've got the lights on, the sun's out. It doesn't even matter right now, because when the sun's out, we gather so much energy that we don't even have to worry about leaving all the appliances on. It doesn't matter. Leave the bathroom light on upstairs, not a big deal. So. Yeah, we leave our outside lights on in the evening for the dogs when they're out in the yard. Yeah. And I do laundry. Now that we got the water pumping, we've got laundry going all the time, flushing the toilet, living large. Mm-hmm. And when the town that's closest to us has power outages, we love to sit on the top of the mountain and laugh at them, because we don't. Yeah. This has been a bit of a short video, but we just want to let you guys know this is how our system works. And I mean, we've been doing a
ton of different projects that aren't related to like exactly off-grid living, but this really is. This is the life source of our system. And if you guys are curious about it, leave comments down below. I'll answer as many as I can, the best I can. I'm not an expert. And yeah.
And we'll put links down for the stuff that we have as well, if you're interested in checking those out. I think some of those have the best prices. Some of the brands have the best prices around.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.